Hi guys, it is time to talk the Real Housewives of Miami. I have some really good tea for you guys. I'm excited. I was actually going to drop a video about this blind item yesterday, but since I have found some more information on our favorite boob god in Miami, yes, boob god, Lenny, Lisa's husband. We know that that's what he's known as in the Miami area. And I want to talk to you guys about a blind item and supposedly a situation about him being in the bar with a model at 1 o'clock in the morning and Lisa and Larsa blowing down on him in the club. Also want to talk about the house that they built that they ended up tearing down after they fought like every single historical society person that they could in Miami to tear the house down. Two people that lived there prior were actually murdered. It was a family home, a family estate, and the wife and husband, they were young, and he was starting a boat chartering service. And well, anyways, I'll tell you guys the whole thing. If you want to hear all about a murder in the house that Lisa and Lenny bought but then tore down, and you want to hear about the blind item with Lenny and supposed lawsuits, and now we're hearing rumors about him in the club till 1 o'clock in the morning, then you should definitely hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and put your notifications on so you're not missing anything that I'm posting, because you never know when blind item's gonna drop. You never know when we're gonna find out new tea, so you got to turn those notifications on. Okay. So, the Real Housewives of Miami, if you're not watching it and you're a Housewives fan, you should get with the Real Housewives of Miami, because they were fire when they very first came out, and they are going to be fire again. Larsa is on this season. You know, we weren't sure if she was going to come back because she's kind of like a two-hitter quitter, if you will. And we know that Lisa and Larsa are typically friends, right? So, page 6 alleges that Lenny was in the club with a model, Katrina. Her last name is Mazeda, and he was in this new Miami Hotspot, the nightclub called the Gala, Gala. And allegedly he was in the bar with this model, and people were saying that it was his new girlfriend because there's these allegations that they are allegedly separated or getting divorced. Allegedly, Queens of Bravo dropped a blind item talking about them supposedly being separated. That was not the blind item that I saw. The blind item I saw was regarding patients and civil cases, and we'll get into all that. Now, they were in the club 1 o'clock in the morning, and page 6 alleges that Lisa and Larsa blew down on him. Like, they showed up at the club and he was there with this model. Supposedly, allegedly, Lisa was screaming in her face, and people standing by did say a drink was thrown and broken. Page 6 says that a few days later, Lisa did make a statement, and she said that she was just trying to figure out, you know, the best move on. She was shocked at what she saw, and she was just trying to figure out the best move and explore what was best for her and her children. Several days later, Lenny, allegedly, page 6 reports that he did make a statement after repeated attempts to try to get a statement from him. He said, not true, nice try. Like, they're not separated, they're not getting divorced, not true, nice try. So we're pending more information on that. Unfortunately, insiders are saying that Peacock was not filming for this situation, but that that is going to be part of her storyline on the Real Housewives of Miami. Is going to be her and Lenny's relationship. Now, the blind item that I saw was about him. You know, we know that he's like this boob god, and that he's this amazing plastic surgeon in Miami, and he works on celebrities and anyone that is like that intelligent and a surgeon and that specific, and they want things to be perfect, and they're perfectionist. Like, those people have like not common attributes, or, you know, because they're like, I don't even want to say eccentric, but they're so smart and they're so perfect. Like, they don't have like a lot of relatable tendencies, and I think that's what we get from Lenny. So just keep that in mind, okay? Like, if everyone could go be a surgeon and make millions of dollars, then we would all do it. But it takes a special kind of person. That's the word I'm looking for. A special kind of person to be a surgeon, to have people's lives in their hands, to, you know the body, the medicines. Like, you have to be a special kind of person. Not everyone can do that. So allegedly, he takes reviews really personal, okay? So Google reviews, Yelp reviews, so on and so forth. Allegedly, whenever these women are having their breast augmentations, you know, they have to sign a ton of consents. Of course, these doctors have to make sure that they're covering their ass. They don't want to get sued. They don't want malpractice. Their insurances probably are already skyrocketed. So they make patients sign a ton of consents. Allegedly, in the packet of consent papers, there is a paper signing away the patient's right to leave a review. And it alleges that if you leave a review, then he can therefore civilly sue you and you would owe him money. These women alleged that he didn't have a good bedside manner. They were unhappy with their augmentation. He didn't care that they were unhappy. He didn't do anything to try to, you know, rectify their situation. And one woman said that she felt like the only thing she could do was to go online and leave some reviews. So she left like 7 reviews, and she didn't even know that she had signed this paperwork, you know, basically a form of an NDA. They can't leave a review, and she ended up being served with civil paperwork. She had to go to court, and he was trying to sue her for money. Now, the other woman alleges that she, again, was unhappy with her augmentation and he did nothing to rectify the situation. She felt like he was like rude and dismissive of her, and she left bad reviews and he tried to pay her to take them down. Again, alleging that he takes these reviews personal. Now, the blind item didn't state that it was Lenny. It came from a Miami email address, and you know, the different things that it was saying, a lot of people were guessing Lenny. Also, if you go look up Lenny's reviews yourself, you're guaranteed you're gonna find some of these reviews that this blind item was referencing. Try Google, try Yelp, because I did a couple of months ago and I was able to find some of the negative reviews. So if you're interested, you should do that. Now, the house with the murders and that whole thing, I'm going to give you this lowdown. I didn't know, I used to be a huge crime TV fanatic. I had heard of this story. You know, this woman moves to Miami and she is driving on the bridge and she sees Star Island and this beautiful mansion, and she says, I'm going to live there one day. Several years later, she's bartending. This man walks in named Jake. They start dating, and lo and behold, that's his family's estate, okay? It was their estate for like 70 years. So they end up getting married and she moves there, but she says that the conditions of the home were terrible. There was rats, the foundation was bad, because it was a family estate, like a cousin lived there, a neighbor lived there, and she referred to it as like the trailer park of Star Island, because Star Island is very wealthy people. It's a man-made island. It's only a couple miles long, so you have to be very rich to live there. But they had this family estate, but they really couldn't afford the upkeep. So they get married, they have a couple of children, and Jake wants to charter boats. That's like his thing. And couple of these gentlemen say that they want to charter a boat to go from Miami to the Bahamas because they don't have passports and they don't want to deal with trying to come in and out of the United States and in and out of the Bahamas and all that. And if they just charter a boat, it would be a lot easier. He pays them like, it's supposed to be a couple $1,000s in cash. And if you guys know the area at all, you know that if you're in Freeport, the Bahamas, sometimes you can even see the lights in Miami. That's how close the Bahamas and Miami are. It's only like a couple-hour boat ride. So allegedly, the husband, the wife, and like another guy that's, you know, his right-hand man, take the boat and they get the 2 guys that want to charter it, and they take off into the ocean and they head for the Bahamas. They never return. A couple of days later, 2 gentlemen, this might trigger your memory, were found like floating in a raft, and they were picked up by the Coast Guard, and they had basically said that they were refugees from Cuba, and they had a raft and they were trying to float to the United States. But we were suspicious because they had a laptop, and we thought, if you had to leave a country because you were you know, a refugee and you were trying to get to the United States, is a laptop what you would choose to take with you? I mean, that didn't make any sense. So there was a lot of those red flags. They ended up finding the boat, and it was very, very tragic because those two gentlemen that allegedly chartered the boat, they killed the husband, they killed the wife, they killed the skipper, and they were gonna take the boat and go to the Bahamas, or actually Cuba. I'm sorry, they were going to go to Cuba. They told him they wanted the Bahamas, but their plan was to go to Cuba. However, because it was only a couple-hour boat ride to the Bahamas, the husband didn't have enough gas in the boat. He had only put in so much gas. He probably was going to gas up again in the Bahamas, but he didn't have enough gas to get from Miami to halfway to the Bahamas and then to Cuba. So their boat ran out of gas and they floated on back up in close to the United States where they were found. And here they had lied about it. Yeah, isn't that tragic? It's so terrible. And they had children, they passed away. So what happened is that the husband's grandmother, they had the family business. She wasn't able to go on with the family business because the grandson had ran it, him and his wife. And so she ended up losing the home to the bank. So then the bank sold the home to Lenny and Lisa, and they wanted to tear the home down. Well, now the Historical Society is saying that they're tired of all these historical buildings being torn down in Miami, and they want to start saving them, and they decide that they want to, vote on whether they think the home is a, historical land piece to Miami. In the meantime, the grandmother decides that she's going to sue for money, saying that, they should have given her an opportunity to pay it back and all such and so forth, and that she was indigent. And a lot, that kept them in court a lot. They had to go back and forth with it. I mean, it was like Lenny basically had to battle everyone. Basically the officials, like zoning, to get permits for everything. And then on top of it, he had to deal with a civil case regarding the previous owner who was suing the financial institution that took the house back. So it was a mess, but in the end, Lenny prevailed. Money always wins, and him and Lisa were able to tear down the home and build their beautiful mansion that they live in. But now we don't know what's going to happen, because it seems like the relationship doesn't sound like it's going in a very good place. One thing that I want to also throw in here, guys, is in the reunion, the Real Housewives of Miami reunion, was it in like December? Because a lot of reports on Lisa, like kind of going more in depth or talking about Lenny's emotional affair. If you guys watch Miami, then you know that she alleged that he had an emotional affair and that she found these messages in his phone. And she said that they broke up for a couple of days, and that he came crawling back to her, and that was the best decision he ever made. Now they have 2 children. Their children are beautiful, by the way. It does seem strange to see them with children, because it's like their looks haven't changed. They haven't aged at all. And now all of a sudden, these growing children are in photos with them. But of course, we don't want to see anyone get divorced. But the tea is that dude was in the club with a model till 1 a.m. in the morning, and Lisa blew down on that ass. Speaking of that, did you guys catch Jennifer talking about when the Real Housewives of New Jersey last night, the part 2 reunion? Did you guys catch Margaret mentioning that Jennifer had the woman that Bill had the affair with fired from her job at the pharmaceutical company? And Marge basically, she was frustrated with that because she felt like it was biased, because the lady, it was a woman, and what if she had a family? And Jennifer said she didn't have a family. I knew she didn't have a family, and she shouldn't have been sleeping with my husband, and I would do it all over again. people haven't really said one way or the other. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think that it was wrong that she had the woman fired? Or do you think that the woman didn't have a family, she didn't have anything to lose, and she was sleeping with a married man, and maybe it taught her a really important lesson in life? I don't know. But I also wanted to point out something to you guys. Did you catch Melissa's response? Andy asked Melissa a couple of tricky questions here, guys. Number one, he asked Melissa if she'd ever been with a girl. If you guys remember, he asked Dolores, like, what's up with this, whole Melissa finger banging Dolores when she's drunk? And Dolores responded and said, like, Melissa, she likes to fondle girls. She likes a boob whenever she's drunk. And Andy said, have you ever been with a girl? And she paused for a very long time before she responded no. And I wanted to just remind you guys that I did mention a couple of videos back about a report that came out in US Weekly magazine, like in 2011, maybe right when Melissa first came on the Housewives. And it was a young lady who went to school with Melissa who claimed that they had like a 2-year relationship while Melissa lived in Florida. So I just thought that was a little strange that Andy asked that. And he'd never asked that before. And then also another interesting thing, and if you watched The Real Housewives of New Jersey from the beginning, if you are a fan, then you know that there were accusations that Melissa had cheated on Joe. That there was this whole thing with Jan. Do you guys remember Jan? Jan came out and did interviews and didn't even get paid for them because she just wanted to tell her truth because she felt like Melissa had played her, and she was really letting out some dirt about Melissa. If you guys want to know about Jan, I know all about her and I can do a whole video, so make sure you comment and let me know. If you guys remember though, the allegations that season were that Melissa had actually met up with her ex Bulldog and slept with him at some point, like a couple of years after she had like her second child, and that was the allegations against her. So I thought that it was really, really, really strange that Andy all of a sudden, asked her, like, would she forgive someone if they cheated on her? And, she basically said she would do the same thing that Jennifer had done. The Bulldog also was on Twitter whenever all of this was like going down. Somehow, I mean, if she hadn't talked to him and she hadn't slept with him, how would he even know these were like rumors? But somehow he knew that these rumors were going around, and he was just tweeting away. And he was also tweeting about that one thing that I said I wasn't going to talk about, that was kind of part of the whole Judice thing, Joe Gorga thing. He tweeted about that too. So if you're ever interested, you should definitely go back and look at his tweets, Bulldog's tweet. You can definitely find them. I posted them on my Instagram a long time ago too. And if you want them and you can't find them, just post your email address or something, a way for me to send them to you, and I'm happy to send them to you. I had a couple people post that they don't get on Instagram because I post a lot of receipts and they're just not into the internet and Instagram like that, and that's totally fine. If you guys post an email address for me and just comment, I want you guys to see the receipts. I love giving you guys tea. So if you aren't into the internet, you're not into Instagram, Twitter, whatever the case may be, if you give me a way to send you the photos, I'll just forward them to you whenever I'm posting receipts. It's not a big deal. So another thing about New Jersey I wanted to say was, people are really pissed at Andy Cohen for giving Jennifer such a hard time, especially when she was holding up her like presentation with the whole crooked family and her response to Melissa's response. Also saw some tweets about people saying, well, how can they say that about Joey getting involved in women's business? Mauricio goes on every single girls' vacation with the women in Beverly Hills, and just, so on and so forth, I guess. And my response to that would be that Mauricio doesn't have a wife and a sister on the show. I think that really makes it a different kind of circumstance for Joe Gorga. Now he's getting paid by Bravo. Before, he was just Melissa's sidekick, so it wasn't such a big deal. But now that he's actually getting a paycheck, he has to meet obligations. He has to meet filming like he has to be there. Okay. And I just am interested to see what we're going to see in part 3, because I wonder how early they're going to bring Louis out, because it's only a 3-part series and we haven't really seen or heard much from him. Also, did you guys see how mad Marge got? Marge was so mad. She was really mad at Jennifer when they were yelling back and forth and Andy stood up and had to yell and tell them all to be quiet. I feel like I could hear the anger in her voice. Also want to let you know, Teresa Giudice people, a lot of people are sticking up for her, saying like Melissa and Joe are getting the better edit here. And Michael Davenport was on Watch What Happens Live, and he told Andy Cohen that he thought Melissa had the best season ever. It was very well-rounded and the best season ever, is what Michael Davenport has said about Melissa this season on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And Andy Cohen responded with, interesting. Yeah, and then he just like went on to a commercial break. Also, have you guys noticed, you probably haven't noticed, but we haven't seen Tiki's wife at all. Not even in the background. Not even in the green room. We haven't seen her. And any of like the footage, we haven't seen her really. We kind of stopped seeing her like when they went to Tennessee. We just really didn't see any more of Tiki's wife anymore. So people are alleging that she's coming back next season. I don't know how they could give her another chance. Maybe they will, but I don't know how. We know that Jackie's coming back next season. She could be full-time if she brings it. She could be part-time if she doesn't. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with her. I think she looks amazing. But, you know, I hear a lot from a lot of commentary, a lot of viewers, and a lot of people just thinking that maybe it's not the right time for Jackie to be on the Real Housewives of Real Housewives of New Jersey, because it is so vicious. You are open to the internet, so you're going to get a lot of hate through the internet periodically. Not to mention that you have to have some sort of conflict going on between the women at some point, because that's what makes the show. So that if someone is already uneasy, unsettled, dealing with emotional things, to be unsettled in chaos and conflict at work with your castmates, I'm sure doesn't help her progress, help her journey, whatever you want to call it. But I thought that Andy Cohen seemed pretty respectful when asking her questions, and I still respect her for, you know, anyone that's trying to help someone, you got to give them some love and respect. And anyone that's talking about something that no one else is talking about, you got to give them, you know, you got to give them a little bit of respect for that. So all right, guys, let me know what you guys think about this, about Lenny. Are him and Lisa going to be divorced? Can you believe that Lisa and Larsa blew down on him in the club? I mean, I just feel like Lisa was probably taking notes from Larsa, because Larsa's been there, done that. I mean, she's, you know, she's a little bit aged, if you will. So I just feel like she was probably coaching Lisa along, like, oh no, we're gonna go. Where's he at? I'm on my way to get you. You better, yep, I'm on my way. You better be ready. We're gonna go there. We're gonna walk in there. You know, just have been talking her up the whole time, talking her up. So I think it's a riot, and I'm so upset that Peacock and nobody was there to film it. So that's the second thing this season we know production from the Real Housewives of Miami has messed up. Number one, they messed up because they didn't film Scott Disick and Larsa, because he was in Miami and they like hooked up and had like somewhat of a meeting. Paparazzi caught them together, and production was pissed because it wasn't filmed and Larsa didn't even tell them. And now Larsa taking Lisa to the club at 1 o'clock in the morning, and production's not there to film it again. They're gonna be mad at her. I'm dead serious. They're gonna be mad at her. I swear to God they are. Why don't be like Kenya, Larsa? Be like Kenya. Remember whenever the whole, you know, Bolo thing took place? Remember? Kenya allegedly called production at like 3 o'clock in the morning when she heard all the moaning and groaning and the two girls' voices and Bolo, when Tanya was supposedly eating snacks in this girl's room. Oh, the snacks comment just freaking killed me. All right, guys. Anyways, I hope you have a great night. What's on now tonight? I don't think anything good. It's Wednesday. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Real Housewives of Miami, Lenny, Lisa, Larsa, there's a lot of L's. And let me know if you're going to be watching as well. Let me know what you thought of the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion last night. I'm still just, everyone is still talking about it. We just haven't had enough of New Jersey. So, all right, guys, have a great night.